Lagodi now looks to the future in the wake of yesterday's devastating fire. More on that. Plus, the Interstate 69 Consortium hosted its Celebration of Innovation in Huntingburg today. And Cheryl Stanton and Marty Montel discuss Family Literacy Night tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Well, in the wake of yesterday's fire that devastated downtown Lagodi, officials have now turned their eyes to the future. Martin County Prosecutor Mike Steiner says fire crews were called at 10 o'clock yesterday morning for the fire. Steiner says the fire started inside of Rosie's Shirts and Gift Shop. Reports from the scene say a glue gun spark inside of Rosie's caused the fire to start. Steiner says the fire quickly spread to other businesses, including Lori's Flowers, His and Hers Beauty Salon, and the Cartridge Depot. He says the fire also jumped across Main Street and damaged a couple of businesses on the south side of the street. Steiner says nobody was injured. 6 businesses in all were involved, and other buildings sustained smoke and/or water damage. Steiner says the rapid spread of the fire can be attributed both to the age of the buildings and the lack of brick firewalls between them. Steiner says when and if the area is rebuilt, firewalls will likely be part of the equation.
I presume that will happen. That's sort of not my area, but I'm guessing that, yeah, once that happens, that'll be fairly important.
Now, yesterday also presented a few challenges for fire crews. Temperatures were near freezing throughout the morning and into the afternoon, making work a little bit difficult. Steiner says the work of all involved in fighting yesterday's fire cannot be overstated.
It's an unbelievable effort, and the reality is when you get in rural Indiana like this and you have a fire like this, everybody comes running, and that's one of the great things about living in this area.
The Lagodi and Shoals Fire Departments, Martin County Sheriff's Department, Martin County EMS, and Martin County Civil Defense all were called in to help. Firefighters with the Cannelberg, Washington, and Reeve Township Fire Departments in Davies County, along with an aerial truck from Crane, also assisted. US 231 through Lagodi was closed for more than 7 hours yesterday afternoon, while fire crews worked to put out the blaze. Jasper City officials are continuing to look into options for citywide communications should emergency situations arise. City representatives have recently met with county officials as well as folks from Huntingburg, Ferdinand, and other communities across DuBois County to discuss available options. Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz says any system could be done by partnering with other communities or going to a countywide emergency communications system. The city currently does not have its own emergency communications system. Now, some of the options being explored include the Code Red system. Code Red is currently used in Spencer, Perry, Davies, and Knox counties here in southwestern Indiana. DuBois County officials have looked into the Code Red system in the past for weather-related emergencies, but the system was never implemented for various reasons. Now, this effort is in response to the recent report about communications during the boil order that Jasper experienced back in September. Seitz again praised the Greater Jasper School Corporation for the use of their call system during the boil order. He says that was the most successful method the city used outside of the media to communicate with residents. Seitz says a few city call lists were a bit outdated, part of which can be attributed to changes in technology. He says those changes will likely be factored into any future decisions on an emergency communications system.
Essentially with technology, those lists had gotten older because there's other methods of communicating, but that morning we needed lists because it was the middle of the night. And a lot of times businesses are computerized or media is computerized and not everybody's accessible.
Other options being explored could include other dial-out systems that folks could opt into to get emergency text messages. Seitz says there are still many things to be worked out. He says the city might go forward on its own if need be.
If it needs to be just us, under our consideration, at this time, again, we are having a much more wide area being talked about, and that's why we're engaging the counties and other communities. If we can go in this together, we could perhaps share some cost. If not, we'll look at Jasper only at some point down the road. My promise was to at least look, and that's what we're doing.
Now, Ferdinand is currently working on implementing an AM radio station that would be used for communicating information to town residents there. Seitz says that could be another option to look into, though he says more research would need to be done. Folks in Du Bois and surrounding counties got the chance to celebrate the progress of Interstate 69 today. This morning, the celebration of innovation for the I-69 Innovation Corridor was held at the Huntingburg Event Center. The event featured speeches from several different figures, including Tanya Brothers Bridge and OFS Brands CEO Hank Menke. Menke touted the Mid-State Corridor project during his speech. He maintains that the completion of Interstate 69 will be important to the overall success of the Mid-State Corridor project. Menke says for his part, he's pleased with the progress of I-69.
I think it's moving on. Yeah, there's been some delays in this portion of Bloomington, but I think Martinsville, and again, just I think what Becky Skillman just said, you know, they have to have a legislative piece of action on this last piece, the Section 6. But I'm confident. I'm confident with the state of Indiana that's going to happen.
Now, the consortium has now been in place for 2 years. It's led by the University of Southern Indiana. Michael Thyssen represented the university at this morning's event. He says he's proud of the support from NSWC Crane and many other businesses for the consortium.
Every time I would have a meeting in the corridor, wherever it is, even beyond the corridor, because it's not just our 11 counties, but we've had about 17 or 18 counties really interested in how we're synergizing. Every one of them has always said, how can I help? What are we doing?
Now, the consortium's overall goal is to increase the innovation index by 20% by the year 2025. Finally this evening, the Jasper Public Library has been honored with a major grant. Regional Author Award winner Norbert Kropf has selected the library as the recipient of a $2,500 grant. The grant is one of 3 to be presented. The grants are given to the hometown libraries of each of the 3 regional winners of the Eugene and Marilyn Glick Indiana Authors Regional Author Award. The award is a program through the Indianapolis Public Library Foundation that seeks to honor the contributions of Indiana authors to the literary landscape, both state and nationwide. In a news release, Jasper Du Bois County Contractual Public Libraries Director Christine Golden says the library is honored to be selected for the grant. Now, public nominations for winners were submitted from across the state earlier this year. To be eligible, authors had to be published writers that were either born in Indiana or had lived in the state for at least 5 years. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Cheryl Stanton and Marty Montel. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.